Hello and welcome to the Work Homeschooling Balancing Act. I am Lisa Sims and I'm going to be your presenter today. And just to give you a little background about myself, I have been a online educator for various universities. I teach technology courses and I've done that for 15 years. And I am also a homeschooling mom, and I've been doing that for 5 years to my special needs son, who's now 9. And I also have a 5-year old who I've been homeschooling since he was 2. And in addition to that, I am a wife, I am a author, and I am a entrepreneur and podcaster. So as you can see, I really need this session just as much as you need it, because trying to have a balance when you're homeschooling can be challenging at times, to say the least, but it can be done. And so, as homeschooling moms and dads, don't want to leave the dads out, we have our plates full and we wear numerous hats during a typical day. I know in a typical day, I am the speech therapy assistant, the occupational therapy assistant, the homeschool teacher, the assistant professor, the cook, the janitor, the nurse, you name it, I'm it in a given day. And not to mention if I have books to write and things of that nature, and also entrepreneurial things. And so it gets crazy and it gets hectic. And so you start to ask yourself, well, how can I start balancing this stuff? And so you may be considering homeschooling, or you may already be homeschooling. I know when I first started homeschooling, one of the first things I thought about was, okay, how am I going to juggle this? Now, at the time when I made the decision to homeschool my child, I was only working part time. I was teaching online part time for several universities, so I had more time. But then I received a job offer to work full time for the college that I'm working for now and have worked for the past 5 years. And so my workload increased from, I'm working part time, now I'm working full time, and I've got all these Zoom meetings that now I'm a part of. And so my uh, special needs son requires speech therapy twice a week, and he also requires occupational therapy. And so this was before the pandemic. We had to actually get in the car, and so I had to drive him to the therapy center to get these therapies. Now, the one thing that saved me is that I work in a different time zone. I work in the Mountain Standard Time Zone, but I live in the Eastern Standard Time Zone. So there's a 3 hour difference. And so, based on that, I was able to schedule his therapy within the 3 hours before I was supposed to start working. And so that helped. And on our way back home, I would stop, get him some lunch, get both my sons some lunch, and then I would also start working, even though I still would be working because I have my iPhone with me as well. And so it's a balancing act. But during that process, I had to learn a lot about myself. And so one of the things that I have learned how to do is I schedule a lot of my days, most of my days. I schedule the day the night before. Before I go to bed, I schedule what we're going to do homeschooling wise and what I have to do work wise the night before, because that just gives me a roadmap to stay on track, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And sometimes before you know it, your day has gotten away from you, and you're like, well, I didn't get anything accomplished. What happened? And so, to prevent that type of thing happening to you, I would also suggest that you come up with some type of schedule, and to not only help yourself but to help your uh, children to be able to know, okay, this is what's coming next. My oldest son is on the autism spectrum, and so a schedule really helps him out because he knows what's coming next. And so I would encourage you to do that and be able to share that with your spouse. We keep a calendar on the refrigerator because everybody's going to the refrigerator. And then we also have a shared calendar that we use. We use, oh man, I forget the name of it, but there's different apps that you can use to share your schedule. You can even use your Google Calendar. I use Google Calendar and have it synced to my phone because I always have my phone with me. So, whatever method that you need to use to schedule things and let everyone know what's going on, then I would suggest you do that as well. And then, one of the other things to help with the work homeschooling balancing act is to take some time for self-care. And I know you're probably saying, oh, that's easier said than done. Believe you me, I know, because I say self-care and I don't do a good job of doing self-care for myself because I can feel the stress, and the stress gets right up here in my shoulders, and I know when I started feeling that it's time for a little TLC. And so self care looks different for everybody. What I do is going to look different from what you do. And so even if it's just going for a walk, that can help you to alleviate some of the stress, help clear your mind, help you to regain your focus. I do that. Um, and it's something simple. When I take my sons out in the backyard for them to get on the swing and just go outside and play, I walk laps around our backyard. We have a fenced in backyard. And so I just put one of my AirPods in my ear and put on some good music, and I just kind of walk around there while they're playing on the swing and doing everything. And so that helps me to be able to refocus, number one, and keep the stress down, and also to just really just to have a change of scenery, because sometimes homeschooling can feel monotonous, and it can feel like you kind of stuck in a rut and you're doing the same thing. So sometimes you just need some sunlight. You need to hear a bird chirping, and you need to be able to see your neighbor, just to be able to wave and say, hey, how you doing, and have some adult conversations. So don't underestimate the power of just going outside and going for a walk. And another way that I kind of balance this working homeschool entrepreneur uh, act that I do is that I have identified when I am the most productive. And for me, I'm most productive early in the morning. If that's anywhere from like 4:30 up until about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, that's when I'm most productive. Now, anything after that, I'm going downhill fast. I'm not even gonna sit up here and tell you. Coffee is not gonna help. I've tried. So know when you are most productive and work during that time, and that will help you to be able kind of to balance it all. And being homeschooling moms and dads, hey, we have that flexibility to choose when we are homeschooling our children. It doesn't have to be on the typical school system schedule of what is it, 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. or whatever. You got 24 hours that you can, really choose from, or 12, 14, depending on, that you can choose from. And so choose the hours that work best for you to be able to not only do your work but also to homeschool your children, because then that helps to eliminate a lot of the stress and frustration and aggravation and irritation that sometimes you may feel because you got all these demands pulling on you, but you don't have the time that you need to be able to adequately deal with them. And so, if you work when you are most productive, then that helps. And another thing that I have learned as well is I've learned to work in bursts. Now, that means for me, I might work, say, 20 minutes and then take a break and then do some homeschooling with my boys. And then I'll go back, do some work, maybe 20, 30 minutes, then homeschool the boys. Or if I have a meeting that lasts like an hour, hour and a half, then I do that, and then I'll give them some free time to do their iPads or read a book or something else. And so that seems to work for us. And so anytime that you can break things up into chunks, it really helps, because none of us really have, particularly homeschooling moms and dads, when we're homeschooling, has that just chunk of, say, a couple of hours where we can just work straight. Whether it's working, homeschooling, things of that nature, it has to be done in chunks, because number one, unexpected things happen. Our kids get sick, then we have to take them to the pediatrician, or we may have to go to the doctor ourselves, or go to a dentist appointment, or anything happens. So we have to be able to work in these chunks. And so another thing that I have learned to do to help balance this homeschooling and working professional and entrepreneur and all the other things that I do is that you have to be in constant communication with your spouse. And this helps a great deal because you can tag team on certain things. My husband, during the pandemic, has been working from home, and so we tag team. We have different meeting schedules for our work, and so we tag team the homeschooling with our sons. And so when I'm not available, he may be available, and he will handle the homeschooling portion for the kids, and vice versa. So you have to really communicate with your spouse to be able to be on the same page. And that's where the calendars come in. Everybody knows everybody's schedule, and you already know what days are going to be those busy days. And so the more you can communicate about that, the better. And so as homeschooling parents, there's a lot that goes into it. And since we're at home, we feel like we have to always, I know I used to feel this way, you feel like your home has to always be clean. And sometimes it's just not possible for everything to be neatly arranged in its perfect little space. And so once I kind of got over that and realized that, hey, I might not be able to keep the schedule that I was accustomed to keeping when it comes to keeping the house tidy, but when I get to it, I get to it. It's case in point, laundry. I used to, oh, the laundry pile up used to just drive me insane because I couldn't stand to see the laundry in the laundry basket piled up. I'm like, oh Lord, I got to fold the laundry. And now I'm like, okay, I will fold the laundry when I get to it. No, I'm not gonna let laundry rule my life. I said I'll get to it when I get to it. So you just have to uh, take some of the pressure off of yourself, because when you got these different hats on and everybody wants a piece of you, then it is stressful. Believe you me, because I have days where I have two phones, one for work and my personal phone. Both of those are going off, emails coming through, uh trying to order things from Amazon to keep the house going, or also ordering school supplies for projects that we may need. I mean, it just gets out of control, and so it does become a balancing act. And sometimes I'm just gonna tell you, sometimes you just gonna have to, when it comes to homeschooling, you're just gonna have to say, okay, this particular day we're gonna take a break, but we're gonna pick it back up and just have a fun day if you can. Now I have the ability to do that because I work virtually, and so as long as I got an internet connection, I'm always available. And so, your situation may be a little different depending on how you work, if you're an entrepreneur, if you have to be in the office, things of that nature. But, I do have that flexibility. And then the pandemic has done a blessing for many, because now there are more remote jobs that are available that can be done from home for those who are looking to have a little bit more flexibility and not have to be stuck in traffic driving to and from work. And then also the pandemic has also produced a lot of small businesses. So you may be thinking about starting a business so that you can have that flexibility and time to spend more time with your children and be able to homeschool them and take them on field trips and trips and things of that nature. So, the pandemic, even though it was bad, and it was, there was some good things. There were some good things that came out of the pandemic. So just keep that in mind as well. And then also, one of the good things that came out of the pandemic too is that a lot of the things that we used to have to do in person, now they are available virtually. Case in point, I used to have to take my son to the physical location for his speech and occupational therapy, but now we do it virtually. Now, I know it's not the same as him going to the therapy center, but for right now, it's working because number one, it's not burning me out because I had to drive there and then drive back. So I'm in the car for about an hour and a half, round trip. Now I just turn on the computer and we're using Zoom to be able for him to work with his speech therapist and occupational therapist. So if there are some things that you can do virtually to help balance out your time, I would highly suggest that you do those as well, because I know we all have 24 hours in a day, but we are not Superman or Superwoman, and we don't have that on our chest. I had to realize that because before the pandemic, with the ripping and the running, going back and forth to the therapy centers, I was just, as I look back on it now, I don't know how I did it. I know by God's grace, but still, it was a challenge. And then still working a full time job and writing books and all that on top of it. Uh, so I thank God for virtual technology. I really do, because it just has been a godsend for me and my family. And also when it comes to balancing this whole work homeschooling thing, is that really also you need to give yourself some grace. I know we all want things to go a certain way, but as I was saying earlier, unexpected things do come up. and we have to address them. And so when that happens, you just have to give yourself a lot of grace. And I give myself a lot of grace because I have unexpected meetings, Zoom meetings that pop up, or I get invited to speak some virtually somewhere. And so I have to take all those things into consideration because they do affect the homeschool schedule. And so just give yourself some grace. And I have really learned a lot during these 5 years of homeschooling because, as I said, I mean, I've been through some storms. My mom passed away from a stroke when the first year of homeschooling, it was like 3 months into homeschooling, my mom had a stroke, and she lived for 9 days after having the stroke, and she died on the ninth day. And so we were very, very close. And so that in itself just really just it was devastating. And so I was dealing with grief and still trying to work, still trying to homeschool, and trying to keep from just having a breakdown. And so, it's this life that we're living is fragile, and it can be gone in a vapor. So I just want to encourage you to just learn how to utilize some of these tips that I have provided for you to be able to balance it, and just realize, hey, if you can't get something done in one day, if God wakes you up to see the next day, you can do it then. If nobody's going to die or have serious injury because it didn't get done on the day that you planned for it to get done, it can go to the next day. And another thing I will leave you with too is prioritization. You gotta learn how to prioritize, because everything is does not require our attention. So you have to prioritize what things have to get done, what things must get done, and what things can wait. And so if you come up with whatever priority system you want to use, whether it's using numbers, ranking things from one on a scale of 1 to 3, or letters, however you want to do it, it's totally up to you. But you got to have some prioritization as to what task you are going to be able to get accomplished in a day. And then also, I'll give you a bonus one since I'm on a roll here. Um, Automate as much of your household as you can. I utilize a lot of Amazon subscriptions, and so that takes a lot of weight off of me because I don't have to remember something. So it's like I set the subscription and I forget it, and I let it come so that we never run out of anything in our home. And so whether it's Amazon or it's medication, I get medication through the mail, so I don't have to go and sit in the line at a CVS or a Walgreens. Whatever you can do to kind of help automate your home so that it runs efficiently and you don't have to do too much remembering while you're trying to juggle all these things, I would highly encourage you to do that as well, because that will help take a lot of the burden off, and it will help you to just be able to be the best you that you can be without being stressed out all the time because of the things that you are doing. And the more planning ahead of time that you can do, if you can kind of look at things, say 3 months out, 6 months out, 9 months out, as best you can, that also will help you, because then you can plan it better, even save money on whatever it is, whether it's a vacation or some kind of trip. The more advanced planning you can do, it will help with this work homeschooling balance. So I hope the information that I have shared with you will help you to be able to find the balance that you are looking for. And on days, certain days, I still run around here like a chicken with my head cut off because I got so many different things going on. But I do have tools in my toolbox that I can refer to and pull out to help kind of balance things out. And here's my last thing that I'm gonna leave you with as well. Music. As I said before, when I go outside and I walk around my backyard with music, don't underestimate the power of music to help you to achieve some balance and exercise. You got to get some exercise. It's whether it's just walking or yoga or anything, just get some exercise in because it will help you when it comes to the work and the homeschooling balance. And so I have enjoyed talking with you and telling you about my journey with work and homeschool balance. And so I would encourage you to follow me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page. It's Lisa Sims, SIMS Teach Me. And you can follow me on Instagram, Lisa Teach Me as well. And so you can even email me if you would like. My email address is lsims, SIMS, at lisateachme.com. And so here's to you to being more balanced in your homeschool and work life. God bless.